Hey everybody, welcome back to Horror Trans. My name is Stephanie Bree. I'm fighting a cold, but I'm trying to get these videos out nonetheless. So, you know the drill: transgender woman, all things horror, etc. Today we're tackling the James Wan what the fuck Malignant. So, wow. That's my impression of this movie, okay? If you're familiar with James Wan, and you go into this movie familiar with his work, Insidious, The Conjuring, etc., etc., dial it back. Because you're going to either be disappointed when you get to the twist, which I'm not going to spoil, or you're going to be like, fuck yeah, let's go, I'm here for it, when we get to the twist, which I'm not going to spoil. So, this movie is roughly 2 hours long. That's important. I'm going to break it down, not scene by scene, but I'm going to give you some of the plot points. Again, without spoiling it too much. It starts out in a, we'll say, mental health facility. It's not clear what the purpose of this facility is. Is it research? Is it torture? Is it a prison for insane people? It's not very clear in this movie. And when it's brought up like a dirty little secret that people who work there don't talk about. So there's some shame involved in what went on there. Rightfully so, when you get deeper into the movie and you're like, oh shit, yeah, they fucked up. And it's James Wan. So you're thinking, this is The Conjuring, this is Insidious, you know, there's some supernatural shit going on. And you have this creepy looking dude who can project his thoughts telepathically through the stereo. He can, they say, drink electricity. That's the term they use. And drain the lights. And he can make people see things that aren't there. Flash forward to an unknown amount of time. Basically just present day. We don't know when this flashback scene took place, but we later find out it was a flashback, so that's a mild spoiler. And we're following a pregnant nurse. Now, trigger warning, this movie deals with failed pregnancies in the form of miscarriages and some other heavy shit, and an abusive husband. Now, I'm not going to spoil what happens throughout the movie, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, she has an abusive husband, and the supernatural force basically comes to her aid in, let's say, helping her get a divorce. And that's the polite way of saying what the supernatural force does. And at this point, I'm going to refer to it as the supernatural force, because as you're watching this movie, that's what you're thinking it is. And, you know, it very well could be that. I'm going to tell you, this is a spoiler-ish. They do not really explain what's going on. They don't. You get an explanation that's like, oh, okay, wait, no, that doesn't answer questions. That makes me ask more questions, but whatever, I go with it. Throughout the movie, you see the girl, the nurse, who was pregnant, and I say was pregnant because spoilers and trigger warning, she loses the baby. And she goes through her mourning period, and then she goes through a series of dream sequences where it could be she's being haunted or possessed, or it could be like the Insidious thing where she's astral projecting. There's a lot of speculation on what could be happening. But she's basically witnessing murders take place of people she doesn't even know. But she's simultaneously physically present at the murders, but also physically present at her house, not at the murders. So it sets up this murder mystery with a supernatural bend. You find out, you know, she's got a shady past, an abusive husband, you know, she has connections to one of the victims, wrong place, wrong time. She can describe in detail the murders. So she immediately becomes a suspect. Now, I don't want to tell you what happens in this movie because there's a twist. But this is what I'm going to tell you happens in the movie tonally. This is a 2-hour movie. And the first hour and a half of this movie, the first 90 minutes of this movie, is what you would expect. This is The Conjuring. This is Insidious. This is James Wan to a T, just exactly 1000% what you expect. You blink, and all of a sudden you're watching The Matrix. And you're like, what the fuck just happened? And the whatever it is, I'm going to still refer to it as the supernatural force or the killer of the movie, fucking goes bonkers. And fucking murders basically everybody. Fucking everybody. And then we get the twist at the end, and then we get the setup for the sequel, fade to black, and then roll credits. So that's the gist of this movie. I really can't spoil it because this is a movie you need to experience. Now, if I confused you by saying this was James Wan for 90 minutes, and then the last 30 minutes was The Matrix, that's what it is. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, that's what you're getting yourself into. Now, the twist and the mystery and the kills and the suspense and the scares and the horror and all that stuff is done really well. Really, really well. However, like, you're going into this movie expecting a, quote-unquote elevated horror film, and then you get to the end and it's a fucking 80s B-movie. That is going to be jarring for some people. But that was intentional. That was James Wan's intention. This movie is supposed to make... And I know... and I gave spoiler warnings before I gave away what I gave away. So hopefully as you're watching this, you're not, pissed off at me for telling you what happened. But you were warned. So if you're still watching, you at least, you don't have an excuse. Now, that being said, I love this fucking movie. Like, I immediately bought it as soon as I watched it. I finished watching it. I was like, oh yeah, boom. It's already been added to my collection. And I'm already going to watch it again. Because I fucking loved this movie. I'm here for it. I want more movies like this. Yes, I want movies where I'm watching, fucking Scooby-Doo for 60 minutes, and then boom, all of a sudden I'm watching fucking Nightmare on Elm Street, and I'm like, alright, good. Give me that. Give me more movies like that. Subvert my expectations. Fucking throw me for a loop. Punch me in the gut. Give me something I ain't seen before, and that's what this movie is. A legitimate roller coaster. Now, I understand this movie's divisive, and a lot of people don't like that. Now, I have some nitpicks. Some nitpicks that are not dealt with well in this movie. Nitpick number 1, and I'm not going to get into what this means, but you basically have adult main character, pregnant woman at the beginning of the movie, who has no memory of something that happened in her childhood when she was dead-ass 9 years old. She would fucking remember what happened. Because what happened was not traumatic or PTSD-inducing at all. It was literally just it was the equivalent of coming home from school and, your favorite lamp broke and you're sad for 5 minutes, but then you get a new lamp on Monday. There's the triggering event is not traumatic at all, so she should have full fucking memory of what's going on. However, they do kind of offer a plausible explanation for why she doesn't have a memory of what happened, except for it doesn't make sense, and if you pull at the threads, this movie falls apart real fast. So don't pull at the threads. Now, I just handed you a loose thread and said don't pull on it, so obviously you're going to pull on it, but there you go. Should you buy this movie? 1,000%. Up to this point, I've given every James Wan film I've seen a buy, so I'm going to give this one a buy. He has instantly shot up my list of favorite horror directors. He is like top 10 already. and I've only seen like 4 of his movies. And the 4 movies of his I've seen are just so goddamn good that I'm like, all right, if I see your name attached, I trust you, okay? I'm in good hands. Now, he hasn't burned me yet. Not to say he won't, because, you know, I could say the same thing about Wes Craven, and then I sat through People Under the Stairs, and I've never forgiven him for that. So, you know, there's a chance one of these days James Wan will do something that makes me go, fuck you, dude, you shot the bed on this one. But I ain't seen that movie yet, and that is not Malignant. Malignant is, I'm going to call it his magnum opus. I love The Conjuring. I've already reviewed, I think, the first 2 Conjuring films. They're both fantastic. I'm pretty sure I've already reviewed Insidious as well. If I haven't, I'm just going to tell you right now, I really enjoy that movie. I'm pretty sure I've already reviewed it. I want to see more movies like this, not just movies by him. Yes, I want to see all of the Conjuring and Insidious movies, all of the Annabelles and Nuns and anything in that universe. I want to see it. This movie, though, fuck those movies. Just erase those movies. Those are rubbish. This is the best thing he's ever fucking done that I've seen so far. And I don't mean those movies are rubbish. I mean, those are 5-star movies. This is a fucking 5 out of 5 star. On a scale of 5 out of 5 stars, this is a fucking 12. This is, like, by far one of the best horror movies I've seen in a long-ass fucking time. I was watching this movie, and I was, like, into it from jump. I was like, alright, this is really good. I really like this. And then, boom, I blinked, and I was like, wait a minute, what the fuck just happened? God damn, this movie just went from an 8 to a 15, and I was like, fuck yeah, let's go. And I loved this fucking movie, and I suspect not everybody is gonna love this movie. But if, by and large, your tastes do align with mine, you should probably like this movie too. Whether you pull the thread or not is irrelevant, because, hey, if you pull the thread on any horror movie, eventually it unravels. So what are you going to do? Stay cool.